Okay, Nate, we're here this week, and we're up to our necks in the sinking city. So this week we had a chance to check out the sinking city ahead of it coming out.
Yes.
And I have to say I'm blown away by the mystery and the way this game looks. It's an H.P. Lovecraft kind of mystery action exploration game. It's very open world. So we got a crack at it, and what do you think? What's your first impressions?
Man, so just right from the get-go with the opening cutscene, I was like, okay, this is what we're into. A little bit of the supernatural, or so you think maybe, but you just start off and you're on a ship and you're having a nightmare, and then you wake up, and then later on you end up having another nightmare that you're having a nightmare. It's a little bit confusing.
There's a dream within a dream happening. It's super crazy. At the start, your guy is having these night terrors, and that is the core of the mystery and what they showed us in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. So you end up landing in this city. We'll call it the sinking city. And there's two major problems. There are people that are having cases of hysteria. So people are just losing their minds. And that's kind of one of the main reasons you're there. And like you had said, the other reason is you're getting these night terrors, and it's not just you. It's everybody.
You find out very early that everybody in this city is having the same problems as you. They're getting these crazy dreams that are showing them crazy things, and not everybody is handling it properly. Now, the city is also faced with a physical disaster. It's been cut off, it's flooded, and a lot of the streets reflect that too. So in a lot of these places, you have to cross by a boat or get around.
Which was cool.
Yeah,
actually, mechanically speaking too, I mean, the controls were good.
As far as the game mechanics go, one of the few things that were really easy to figure out was that the boat controls were very tight and everything moved just like I thought it would. Your motion controls and you running around and everything I thought was very, very nice and polished.
Yeah.
The knock I have to add to that is that the game just kind of looks a little aged.
Yes.
So
the graphics, like you said, that it's kind of, you're like, when you were playing, you're like, man, where's L.A Noire?
Yeah.
That's an old game, man.
It's an old game on the last console series, so it's a little weird to see that kind of a graphic style applied to this without being really toned up. And on the other hand, though, I'm kind of grateful because it looked good and it was convincing, and I wasn't drawn out of the experience at all.
No, not at all.
And also my computer could run it, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. So a big part of this game, obviously, is the mystery solving part of it. So you enter a house that has a crime scene. You have this special vision mode that you can use to previous scenes that you get to witness.
Yeah, you can kind of go back in time and see what the events were that caused all this evidence to be scattered about. It reminds me a lot of Murdered Soul Suspect. You have a ghost vision, because you are a ghost in that game, and it's very similar. And they're very similar in their mystery-solving aspects too. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And another thing too, so if you're searching throughout the house, you look at this knife, and then you kind of collect this piece of evidence, and then you search somewhere else. It might even be a completely different place, and then you find this piece of evidence, and you go into this sub-menu, and you have to put all the evidence together.
Yeah, so you are actually doing the detective work. Instead of just watching this guy go through all the detective stuff and cutscene after cutscene of it telling you kind of what's going on, you kind of have to draw your own conclusions based on what you find in the world, and maybe there's a knife here and a broken glass here and the window's broken, so you start putting it together. But in the menus, you physically have to say, okay, well, there was a struggle, obviously, and this knife was bloody, so it turned bad. Put that together, it becomes an idea, like a revelation out of these clues. You get enough of those revelations together and you start piecing together what happened in this case, and then that leads you down the road through your vision. You're watching what happened, and then you follow it out the road and you follow those events, and that leads you to your next thing. And that's kind of the biggest guide that there is if you're doing it correctly, you're picking up all these evidence things and making the decision for yourself on where to go and check out the next building. So I thought that was really cool. The difficulty is all in your mind. If you can figure it out, it won't be that hard, but you have to find all these little pieces of evidence, and that's just the mechanics.
It's not move to the next waypoint and carry on. It's like you have to read everything and actually really just kind of break it down.
Yeah,
you have to solve the mystery.
You really have to solve the mystery by being this detective, this private eye. You have access to police records, library records, city records, stuff like that you can go to in the game, take all your clues, and kind of search through these files by several criteria and figure out if they have anything to do with your clues at all. You use this to get extra clues, find artifacts that maybe it tells you about the ship that crashed, and you had to go to the library to research that ship and find out its owner and stuff like that. So it's real groundwork detective work that was really cool and made me feel like I was a detective in this sinking city.
Yeah, for me it was actually a breath of fresh air. I'm not really too familiar with these kinds of games, but it's not like it's so heavily focused on the mystery side. But then there's a combat too, man. I got killed
crazy.
a lot.
Yeah.
By some weird things.
Yeah,
some weird monsters.
Some horrible creatures that. There's one thing that's just a bunch of hands or something that kind of comes at you. That creeped me out. And then the very next kind of enemies you fight are these weird humanoid things, but they're all grotesque and blown up. Being an H.P. Lovecraft piece of media, I love that it shows all this crazy, gross, grotesque stuff, and I can only imagine what is the cause of this sunken city. Like, it is some horrible monster, and it's all visually shown very well.
So another great thing about the game is the voice acting quality in the game. The main character, he's just this kind of suave detective, and then all the people and I guess different races that you encounter, like this ape kind of humanoid race and this half fish water people race. Really weird looking, but really cool. And just to say it, the direction that they chose is really good.
Well, they spent a lot of time on the dialogue. You can tell there's a lot of choices in the dialogue that you can make to kind of...
We made two really big decisions that were pretty funny.
Yeah, so there's right at the start, there's a couple different ways you can go about how to solve some of these mysteries. Now, I don't want to give away this one, but there's just, you can be the good cop or you can be the bad cop, and it seems like it could affect you later on further down the road because this world is just so big and all these characters seem to interact. We don't quite know the scope of it yet because everybody you meet in this world doesn't seem like just a loose NPC. There's enough people to talk to where you can have these flushed out full conversations that, again, you're doing the detective work and it really goes along with that whole theme. But it's hard to find a character that's out of place or just doing something dumb.
Honestly, all in all, I think we've had a pretty sweet time with this game, so let's wrap up this review, man.
Yeah, so I have to give it a nod to the size and the scope of this game. I didn't know what I was getting into at first. The fact that it makes you do all the mystery work yourself, it doesn't hold your hand through it, I love that. That is the difficulty of this game, and that is, if it was a story, that's what you'd be reading for. So there's really little for me to pull away from it other than just some weird, the way things look.
Couple little textures and graphics.
Couple little textures, just really basic kind of bugs that probably aren't the fault of the game. And with that all considered, I have to give this a solid 7.5.
Man, I'm actually right there with you with all the same points, dude. 7.5.
Overall, we thought The Sinking City was a great horror mystery game with immersive detective gameplay and an awesome universe borrowing from H.P. Lovecraft.
What creatures? What are you talking about?
Subscribe to never miss a video and help us by hitting that like button.